And welcome back to episode 201 of the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay. Trying to make a darts reference, and it didn't really work.
180.
Yeah. We missed that one. What? How many back? 21. Yeah. Anyway, we are back for episode 201 of the Weekly Tech Rant, and a bit of a mixed lineup this week. We're going to talk, of course, the Apple announcement, or what was and what was not announced. Of course, we're going to talk Broadcom and Intel. Probably not the story we thought we were going to talk about. We're going to expand on a little story we had last week, which was around Anduril, and they're taking control of the military VR, which was the HoloLens project, and how that's going to actually evolve. And that is definitely science fiction at play there. And Grok. Anybody actually pay for Grok? I don't know anybody who pays for Grok. And if you're wondering what the hell I'm on about, I haven't got a cough. I'm on about the X AI model, or Elon Musk's own AI model, of course, which is, of course, the smartest AI on the planet. Yes, that tagline did not come from Trump. That came from Musk. And remember the Humane AI pin? Remember that thing? Yep.
Crickets?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's been sold and it's dead. And more on that in just a minute. And unfortunately, this week, we're a bit dry on rumours. I don't know what's going on. We need to dip the bucket back in the well, I think, So come on then, let's talk about the did it there. Let's talk about the Apple launch, but I've given away what has happened. So on the 19th of February, which was yesterday, Apple had 2 days ago. Yes, sorry, 21st. I can't count. Apple had their product launch, which was, we weren't sure what it was it? It wasn't an AirTag, despite the picture looking like an AirTag.
No, it was not.
It was a single product, wasn't it? And I've given away what it is. I can't believe I did that.
It was a new iPhone, an old iPhone, a mixture iPhone.
It's hybrid phone.
It's what we expected to be the iPhone SE 4 or its replacement, but it's now called the iPhone 16e. E for everyone, apparently.
Well, yeah, like I said, I saw a report that said that Apple were asked, what does the E stand for? And this was in the pressers. Yeah. They didn't give it official life, but one of the VPs in the conversation went, "Oh, well, we've designed this phone for everyone." And I was like, "Oh, I see what you've done there. Very good, very good."
But yeah, generally, there weren't really any major surprises from what we were expecting. It is what looks like an iPhone 14 chassis, isn't it? It's got the A18 with Apple Intelligence, although I did hear that it's one less GPU core on it than a standard A18.
Yeah, it's slightly nerfed,
a binder version, is it? You use some of the ones that didn't quite pass quality control. Surprisingly, you're getting a 6-inch OLED display though, but with a notch rather than the dynamic island. So you've got Face ID, which does mean the death of the home button. There are no Apple devices sold new which can have the home button anymore. And obviously, same as the end of Lightning. It's USB-C, so no iPhones or iPads sold with Lightning anymore. That's gone dead as well.
But let's be honest, we knew that was coming. They had to put USB-C on it, otherwise they'd never be able to sell it in the EU. And look, you know what? I have to say, now we're in a USB-C world. God damn you, the EU! But it makes sense. It does make sense because but
we still got the problem is that yes, nearly every new device you buy has USB-C on the bit where you plug it into the device.
USB-A.
But then you go to a hotel and they're all USB-A's on the walls, aren't they? Or in the cars, and you're like, I'm not quite there yet.
I've got 2 USB-Cs in the rear of my car.
Yeah. But I mean, if you get an older car, I've got.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, I've got 2 USB-Cs in the rear. I've got a C in the central rest.
That's right.
Where the cup holders are.
Exactly. And the death of the home button. Look, I know there'll be people out there screaming, going, "Oh, well, the home button. It's a shame," and blah 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 blah. And you know what? Actually, I'm not that worried.
I'm not worried. I mean, the home button was a bit more consistent. Sometimes when you swipe up, it doesn't quite do what you're expecting. Still, only on a very occasion, the home button was kind of consistent hardware button. Just worked.
Yeah, but it was a mechanical feeling, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was.
And
it had been mechanical since what the iPhone.
Well, no, I guess it's pseudo. It was yeah. I would say though that I would say that the home button, when it got taken out, and I was thinking, what do we do here? Oh my god, this is never going to work. Flicking up all the time. But let's be honest,
There's
over
no
time,
on-screen home button like Android had, is there?
Yeah, and over time, I think we've got used to it. It's muscle memory, isn't it?
It is.
We've driven it through. We know how that works. And you know what? I can live without it. And I find it odd now when I go and use one of the kids' older iPads, that they've got what's the word? They've got a home button. It's like, oh my god, what am I doing?
Still have on my iPad Pro that's still sitting next to me. I mean, but Apple did a good thing of bringing in the swipe up to go home, even on the older models. When they got the software update, so you still have the home button and the swipe to go up, don't you? So if you were used to one, you could still use the other without actually touching the home button.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I don't think it's they had to do it. I've seen some erroneous reports. Oh, Apple have killed off this. But you know what? Evolution. You got to things change. But anyway, we're dwelling too much. Let's keep going. Let's keep
evolution,
going.
though, they have finally bumped the minimum storage to 128 on that. It's still 5 gig iCloud. Hell will freeze over before Apple ever change that, I think. But what else did we get? We got the C1 modem. So this is Apple's first ever in-house modem, and this is a mixed bag. It's their first go, but they want to get away from Qualcomm. So Apple are touting this as the most power-efficient modem ever on an iPhone, while still delivering a fast and reliable 5G. They say, though not all 5G, because you're now missing the MM wave, the millimeter wave 5G. That's absent from this modem, though. That didn't really take off outside of big cities in the US, did it? We don't think we ever got that in Europe.
No, and do you know what? Something puzzled me here. Like, I was like, this part of it was distilled down to basically a sentence, wasn't it? And 6 years worth of work here has gone into this since they acquired it. In 2019, that team has done so much, and they got literally a byline, on it. And I was stunned by that, because I also wonder, though, are Apple playing this down?
Yeah, look, this is the first time they've ever done a modem, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they chose probably the phone that will sell the least, potentially, compared to the others, or the cheapest one, so things can be excluded, can't they? You're not expecting the fastest modem or the most versatile. You bought a cheaper phone. And some of those things are quite apparent. You've only got Wi-Fi 6. There's no 6E or Wi-Fi 7 on it. There's also, bizarrely, no ultra-wideband.
No.
I hadn't clicked that until I was looking through the comparison.
That was something I read. Yeah, no, and yeah. Well, there's a couple of other interesting.
Yeah, you got you got Qi wireless charging, but no MagSafe.
No MagSafe. But technically, you could use a MagSafe. You can use MagSafe accessories, but it'll charge up to 7.5 watts.
But it won't actually stick to the phone.
No,
it won't hold it in place. You'll be scrubbing around trying to get the perfect alignment again.
Which is how I used to be with my bedside Qi charger.
Yeah, same here.
It was just you touch it.
Odd though. Why? What? No MagSafe. That was just the Apple standard thing. I wouldn't even consider that it didn't come with it.
Yeah, I'm puzzled about that. But is this to keep the cost down? And I also wonder.
But then why? Look, this is a cheaper model. Why put an OLED display in it? Why not go LCD? And give us things like MagSafe and faster wireless charging, and maybe Wi-Fi 6E or whatever.
Yeah, and also it's very close in size, isn't it, to the standard iPhone 16 now, because of that OLED display.
Yeah, it's 6.06 inch apparently.
I mean, at a first glance, you're not going to see much between it.
No, the telltale bit will be the camera on the back, because it's a single camera, isn't it? What is it? It's a 48. It's a decent one, 48 megapixel rear camera. But just nice. The single one. So you'll still get some decent photos out of there. Pricing, though, has gone up considerably. I mean, it's still a cheap iPhone. It's not a cheap phone. So what is it? It starts at $599 with 128 gig of storage, which compares to the SE. I think the SE, the previous one, with 128 was around $460.
I believe it was, yes.
Somewhere around there. I know that started at $429, but you only got 64 gigs. So just trying to compare apples to apples there. But yeah, that's $150 more. That's quite a jump. But look, I understand you've got a lot more kit in that phone now. No arguments there, but it's no longer a cheap iPhone.
You know what? I had a thought about this. I think that Apple are getting ahead of the tariff problem here.
Still build it for SE kind of costs, but built in a buffer.
Yeah, I think they are. And that's just a thought process. Given
the price could still go up once the tariffs come in.
Yeah, but I also then wonder when the iPhone 17 launches, will they reduce the price as well? Because because they'll be able to get more of a profit margin out of the other phones, and this one then could be reduced slightly in price and still retain that it's an attractive offering, so to speak. Yeah. But I do think I just have a sneaky feeling that some of this is tariff placed. Just a thought, but
yeah, I hadn't really thought about it. Could well be.
It might not be, but it just seems given everything that's going on, and actually Apple are probably they're not they think they play the long game. Apple, as we know, this isn't short term. This isn't short sighted. That they'll be playing a long view here with it. But this phone will sell, right? This phone will sell in corporates
or in colours
who want. Well, we'll come back to the colours in a second.
Yeah.
I also think this phone will be where parents will buy for kids. And I mean like teenagers, so to speak, who are wanting a phone, but you don't want to spend iPhone 16 money.
No.
But this does everything else. This gives you all of the capabilities, gives you iPhone intelligence, it's got a camera on it. Yeah, some of the other bits will be interesting. I think the lack of MagSafe is going to be a real, point for some people.
Yeah, look, I can let them off probably with the Wi-Fi, though why we didn't get 60, I don't know. But maybe they just haven't got 6 gigahertz running on the new C1 yet. But most people who are worried about that will be more tech oriented and willing to pay more money for a device. But yeah, MagSafe is a bit of an odd one.
That one, I think that's everything. That's the one that puzzles me the most.
Yeah, because I could have excused an LCD display on the device.
Oh yeah, exactly.
How much is MagSafe really costing them? It's a couple of magnets. Why can't we have both at that price?
Well, yeah, I can't see how that would have increased the cost massively. Can you?
No, it's a ring of magnets.
That's what I mean.
You say they don't have enough space in there either, because it's the same chassis as the 14 that had MagSafe, and it's got less camera in it.
Yeah. I mean,
not that it's anywhere near the camera, but don't know.
Very bizarre. I'm sure somewhere in Apple, somebody could give us a very comprehensive logic to why that has been removed. But
at the moment,
I could come and get some batteries and some magnets. What are you on about? Like, it's puzzling to say the least.
Well, I imagine we will see reviews soon. It goes live for pre-order in just under 2 hours? For pre-order and delivery next Friday. Yes, colours you mentioned, or lack of colours.
Yes.
You could have it in white, or you could have it in black. Are we just calling them? Well, just calling them white and black. There's not even a fancy name. We're just straight to the point.
Yeah, but if you want colour, we've got some funky cases for you.
Oh, is that what it is? We're on a case route, yeah.
We got some funky cases we can sell you that do beautiful colours. Beautiful colours.
Best colours in the world. They've just called it white and black. There's usually a fancy. I'm just shocked. No, it looks more like grey to me, but there we go.
I'm just like, it's
never just white or black or red or blue. There's some fancy name for it.
I wonder whether they're just like, I'll give up now.
If you want a fancy name, you need to pay more.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
That didn't make the cut on the bill of materials.
No, you want fancy names, you've got to go for an iPhone 16 or, I mean, the thing is, right, these phones will be the phones that are bought and last 5-6 years.
Yes.
These aren't for the people who buy a phone every couple of years.
No. As you said, these will be the default business phones. If you're in the iOS ecosystem for business, which quite a lot of businesses are, but yeah, this will be the default business phone.
Yeah, and I think also the same kind of people like, if I take my in-laws, for example, who are, late 60s, so they've got iPhone SEs, which I think are the 2020 model. Yeah, the iPhone 4 sort of chassis, ones. And I think, you know what? Yeah, this is the right kind of bigger screen for them. Gives them that longevity.
Mine won't pay that.
But you're right; they're not going to pay it. But I'm saying, but that's the kind of
exactly. My parents would be ideal for, but they're not going to pay that money for an iPhone. They will go and buy a cheap Android.
Yeah, and I think you're right. The price point is, $599. It is expensive, but it's not expensive when you look at the cost of the other phone. Just to say, I think that's something we need to be clear of. Interesting as well. Do you notice that it was a small lowercase e, not the
not a capital, but it was like capital. The C, wasn't it, from the 5?
Yeah, C. Yeah. I mean, and they played up the action button as well. It's, that's also.
I forgot you get the action button.
You get the action button.
Don't
as well,
get the camera button. You get the action button, though. Yeah.
But let's be honest. Do you use that camera button much?
No. Because it's
in the wrong place.
Case on your phone, it just doesn't really work.
No.
The cases are too thick, which means the button is, because it's flush and not an actual button. It's too hard to get to.
Yeah, I found the picture. So the that looked like an AirTag.
Yeah.
So on the Apple website, when you scroll down the page on the device, and it comes to the image of the phone, it flicks around in the center of it. There's like a bubble of metal, a bolt of metal, and on the screen is a picture, and that looks like the image that we saw on the.
Yeah, I also find the camera button is in the wrong place.
Oh, massively! Unless you're using it
come further down the phone.
Yeah, but unless you're using it in landscape mode, you're right. Your fingers aren't the right place at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in landscape, doesn't sit. If I'm holding the phone, it doesn't sit right. My finger isn't that long. It needs to come further down the phone. Maybe the next phone will fix that.
But look, it is. Look, we didn't get an iPad. We didn't get AirTags. We didn't get anything else.
They're just going to be news. They're just going to be a news article.
We got a new phone. You know what? Fair play, Apple. You took us for a ride. Nobody's complaining. There's a decent enough device, which I agree is going to sell more, and actually, it's in a good niche position for what they want to do with it, and it'll become a consistent device that'll sit in the lineup for the next few years. So
it won't be updated for the next 3 years.
And I think on the other hand, right, people are arguing, oh well, no, here's a $600 phone that's got old hardware in it. But it's a business model that works.
Well, it hasn't actually got an old hardware. It's got the latest CPU and I don't know camera, but it's got.
But you see people.
Brand new modem.
You see people complaining, and I saw something on LinkedIn this morning that was saying about, Microsoft is driving ahead with new quantum chips, which is something we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah.
All this kind of innovation, and Apple's just stagnant.
That's a very different market.
I would argue the M chips were groundbreaking. You're right. They're not quantum chips. They're not a Blackwell from NVIDIA, but they basically proved that ARM is a performance chip.
Yeah, but they missed. They had the big headline with Microsoft, and it's I can't what chip they called it now, but if it's 1 million qubits, but that's actually got 1 million qubits. The chip they've currently got has 8 qubits on it.
Yes,
eight. That's a big difference there. Yes, it's still groundbreaking. But the headlines made it out. It was so much more groundbreaking than it really actually is.
We'll cover that a bit more next week, because I was going to talk about that. I thought we'd have a bit of a roundup on quantum next week with the Manjaro chip from Microsoft. But you're right. But I to people who go, well, since Steve Jobs died, Apple don't innovate. I think you're wrong. I think Apple do innovate, and I think Apple are very clever at seeing the market and knowing what is going to sell, and they know that they can build this device that, you're right, takes innovation from other areas, but also takes a tried and trusted design in that chassis. But it isn't an old device. It isn't old hardware. No. You're right. You've got the modem in there, which is brand new, and actually nobody really knows them how good that is. And I would bet good money that the reason they haven't played it up is it is going to be far better than we probably realise. And
I'd also argue Apple usually, their marketing message is different from, say, a Samsung. Not always, but Samsung will very much be like, it's got 8 cores or whatever, 16 gig of RAM, all clocked at this, and that's not the message Apple gives. Apple, they have that with their CPUs, 8 cores, whatever, but their message is about how it solves problems.
Yeah, I think you're right. It just it just makes me laugh when you see these other things being over Apple. But fair play. They're going to make a lot of money, and they continue to make a lot of money. And if I look at my stock tracker, as of the market hasn't opened as we record this. Apple just shy of $3.7 trillion, and where Microsoft 3 trillion, Nvidia 3.4, Google 2.2, Amazon 2.3, and then we forget about everybody else. So I don't think they're worrying, are they?
No, not at all. Talking of chips, though, potential worry.
Nice segue.
Broadcom at it again, or potentially at it again, allegedly at it again. They are apparently interested in purchasing the CPU business of Intel. Also, it's chip design and marketing business. With basically carving up and potentially someone else taking their foundry business.
Just going to say there, isn't it? I think Intel's about to hit the butcher's block.
We're getting the cutting room floor, as they call it. Yeah, I mean, look, Broadcom, they already have a substantial chip design business, so this would add to that, but they outsource manufacturing to people like TSMC and other fabs, and I don't think they're interested in actually running a fab game. They're just interested in the IP and how much more money they can wring out of people. But look, I find this one odd, this story. Not just because Broadcom buying Intel just sounds crazy.
It does, doesn't it?
Broadcom like to buy businesses that enterprises are very locked into and it will take them a long time to get out. Therefore, they can rinse as much money out of these companies as possible. Is Intel that? Look, I know Intel have the Xeon and the data center and the consumer market, and they are still a huge player.
Well, let's be honest. I was going to say they're still very much embedded, aren't they?
But if you've got a DC with 10,000 Intel Xeon servers, and Intel start going, right, we're upping the money. The next one's going to cost 3 times the price. You're just going to go, I'll buy an AMD, thank you very much, when it comes time to replace the server. Because it's not like a subscription model, is it? Though there is a slight subscription. I'll get to that in a minute. But generally, you're buying a one-off cost piece of hardware. It will last, 3 or 4 years, and you'll replace it. So if Intel have tripled the price of the Xeon at that point, and AMD come in at half the price for the same performance, you're going to go, just buy AMD. It's all x86. Is there any USP that Intel have that would make you go, I'm going to stay with them and pay the extra pricing?
I mean, you could argue. I mean, their patent background is rich, and obviously they've got their. But yeah, I think you're right. From driving innovation right now, what would do it? And if you say the acquisitions that Broadcom have done, and more notably and recently VMware, of course, they obviously heavily rely on data center chips like Xeons, as you say.
Yeah.
But given the shift to the cloud and the hybrid world we live in, I mean,
Broadcom, they like subscription models. Because you can lock people in, you can up the price, whatever. Now, Intel does have a slight subscription, bizarrely, on their CPUs called Intel On Demand. And basically, the features are baked into the CPU, but they don't come enabled when you buy it. And you can buy a subscription for things like to turn on software guard extension or RAID capability, which is just bizarre. But there is that option. But is Broadcom going to make everything a subscription feature on the CPUs?
Oh God, I hope not. I just look. I mean, the worrying part is that Broadcom could probably afford to buy them.
Yes,
which I think is terrifying.
Also worrying as a consumer. I'm pretty sure this would be the end of Intel consumer CPUs, more or less.
Well, in the long run.
Broadcom aren't interested in consumers. It's just not them.
No, it's not. It's not.
So are they going to put you can't split the IP between server and consumer because it's basically the same tech, more or less.
Yeah, and I think this would probably be the launch of AMD into that pivotal place, which they've been angling for years. I mean, Intel are not going to go away.
ARM at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, the transition to ARM isn't there, but you're right. I think, as I said, given the M series proving that it can be done, but obviously we know that Apple have an advantage because of the ecosystem that they operate in. It doesn't mean it can't be done with other players, Qualcomm, etc., people like that. But this could signal could signal a sea change. You're right, in the 8x6 architecture world. I mean, I mean, if you'd said to me 5 years ago, we'd be talking about Intel being chopped up potentially and sold off. I mean, I'd have been asking you, what have you been smoking? And imagine if you had this conversation 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That that Intel would eventually be in such a bad place. You couldn't make that up.
It was unfathomable, wasn't it?
What do you mean? I mean, Intel. Every computer in the world runs on Intel.
Intel inside everything.
I think this is there. But the thing is, outside of AMD, outside of Qualcomm, outside of those places, who else could buy Intel?
No.
There's is a very and not just could buy them, but could avoid the regulatory oversight, be able to drive the business forward, and get meaningful return on that investment. It's a limited set of organisations, isn't it?
I mean, look, there's going to be major hurdles. Not only that, if Broadcom suddenly does get the sign off to go and buy the CPU design out of business, who's going to buy fab business? Now, the rumor is there's a potential consortium, including TSMC in there. But surely in this current US government, that's never going to get regulatory approval for a Taiwan-based company to buy part of Intel's chip business.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary, but I think, well, I mean, at the moment, this is just rumors, isn't it? But I think, they're probably credible. It's whether or not that, Hock Tan wants to dip into his deep pockets and do it. But can you imagine? I mean, just I don't think I would be comfortable saying the words Broadcom has bought Intel or part of.
No. That's it's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
so then something we talked about last week then, which was Anduril, wasn't it?
And their takeover of the US Army's $22 billion integrated visual augmentation system project. They took over from Microsoft, didn't they? And we didn't really hear much. Like, are they going to be using HoloLens technology? Palmer Luckey, who owns Anduril, has done an interview, and no, they're not using HoloLens tech by the sound of it at all. They have all their own tech they've been developing for years and years, apparently, called Eagle Eye. And it differs from HoloLens because the HoloLens was a clip-on to the standard
and it was AR,
military helmet, which is the AR, and it had it's a clip-on visor, and it had cables going to the back where the batteries and the CPU were. Whereas Anduril's developed an all-in-one helmet that has it all integrated, doesn't it? And doesn't just do augmented reality.
I'm puzzled by this. So what have they bought with the HoloLens? I'm guessing it's probably the contract, isn't it? And some of the technology.
Yeah.
But I mean, this Eagle Eye stuff, I was looking at it. I mean, this is like science fiction gear, isn't it? If you just showed me, I have to say, if you're going to show me an Amazon direct-to-video, sci-fi military film, it's the kind of gear that you see they're wearing.
It's not just your helmet. It's got hearing protection, hearing augmentation. Obviously, protects your vision, does the augmentation of vision. It's the only one seamless ballistic shell, apparently. Protects you from airburst, direct fire rounds, blast, and concussion. It does AR, VR, MR all in one. So I presume you can black out the lenses to then give you a VR when you need to look at something, like spin it around in VR, but then get the augmented AR stuff. It's crazy. But apparently it's going to have increased fields of view, graphic fidelity, massive quantities of sensors there, all integrated into the helmet. But not just that, it's feeding back into what's their system called? Lattice, isn't it?
Lattice, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is their overall war theater kind of software that integrates everything into like a seamless battlefield. Reading this, I mean, I'd love to get my hands on one and have a play with it, but I don't think that will ever happen in my lifetime.
No.
Just borrow one.
What was really interesting is all of this information came out of an interview that he did with a former Navy SEAL, Sean Ryan, who has a YouTube show with over 4 million subscribers. And the comment section I was reading earlier, it was just like, this guy is awesome. There was no hesitation. He knows what he's talking. It wasn't like, wasn't like the kind of hoorah stuff. It was just like, this is somebody who is absolutely bought into the technology that they are developing. And I think given what he did with Oculus, it's it's kind of a natural progression, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying it's a bigger jump than what from now to this new headset than what it was when he started Oculus.
Yeah. I'm impressed. Like you said, we're never going to see one. We might get to see some information, but I mean, like when you kind of see the stuff that's working, like they say that the what's that quote is saying with the headset, you'll see drones that are coming to attack you. You can see where the attack vectors. You can identify the controllers. You will see where the safe zones are, all overlaid on maps, and give you and allow you to be aware, context aware of the battlefield. It's like holy hell, and that's unbelievable.
Indeed, yeah.
And what was the other one? I was seeing around corners. That was it as well. I was like, oh my god!
Not bringing a live feed from a portable drone or something like that. I can see around the corner.
Yeah. And like you say, all push back into Lattice so that the battlefield commanders get all of that data to be situationally aware. I mean, just look. I'm not glorifying war. I'm not saying at all. I'm just talking.
I'm just impressed. The tech is crazy.
And you know what? As I often say, kind of like when you talk about iPads, and the Star Trek future and the technology that we have there in those things, are we seeing life imitate art? Because those things existed in there, to a future that actually we probably would have got to anyway with technology advancements. The world of Terminators and stuff like that. I know seem a long way off, but augmented battlefields. The one thing you don't want to be doing in war is the people loss. You lose your soldiers, your troops. Obviously, that's a massive loss in the battlefield. So anything you can do to reduce the human cost is obviously massively important. Anything you can do to avoid war is far better overall. But yeah, I mean, just very, very cool stuff from a technology. I'll stress that again.
And it kind of reminds me of the way car manufacturers are trying to do with the whole AR windshield, aren't they? Where it can overlay stuff as you're driving along and highlight cars and lay over satellite navigation details on the real environment. It seems very like that, but obviously aimed at war rather than getting from A to B in your car.
Well, I look forward to seeing more information come out and how we can probably get on the show to talk about it. It'll be very cool stuff.
Oh, definitely.
So, one thing though I won't be paying for or have any interest at all is X Premium Plus, which what the hell do we get for that? Well, apparently you get Grok, don't we now? Grok 3. I mean, what is going on here? Because quite frankly, I've got no interest or understanding, if I'm honest with you.
No, but what we do know is it's going up in price considerably, isn't it?
Massively.
So apparently it was $22 a month. It's now jumping to $50, but no one's quite sure if it's 50 or not because the messaging and the web pages are all completely different. I read the article and the reporter said he tried to sign up for a Premium Plus plan. So X showed it would cost him $39.83 per month. Though the final checkout page said it was $395 a year, which is considerably less rather than the $477. Or X's support page says the monthly cost is $50, but the sign-up page lists $48.40, and the checkout page again listed $40. So no one knows what's really going on with the pricing. But yeah, you are now allegedly getting Grok 3, which is the best AI ever,
according to Musk.
But you're not getting all the features though for your $50 a month. If you want all the features, you need to buy Super Grok on top of your Premium Plus subscription, which is another $30 a month. So $80 a month for the full Super Grok. You're going to buy this then?
I mean, Grok has come out of the fact that Musk, first off.
Yeah.
So you go back several years.
Yes.
Musk tried to invest in DeepMind. And that didn't go well.
Yeah.
He then obviously invested with Sam Altman in OpenAI and was around the for humanity aspect, not to be for profit. And he tried to invest, by the way, with both of them using Tesla stock.
Yes.
And obviously, when things didn't go his way, he first kind of badmouthed the guys at DeepMind to the OpenAI team, and now when he left OpenAI, he badmouthed everybody. He badmouthed them to everybody else, didn't he? About how the technology is terrible and all that kind of stuff. And he took a load of people, and we've got Grok, which is the most ridiculous name ever. It just screams to me of somebody that is a narcissistic, weak individual who cannot get what he wants, so he begs, steals, and borrows to get his own. And the richest man in the world is then charging far more for his crappy platform than you get from other providers that are there. But of course, it is the smartest AI in the world.
Of course,
but you can
I
only seem to
found
use
out
it
though.
through
I
X.
found out what Premium Plus gets you.
Oh, please enlighten us.
So you've got basic, premium, and premium plus subscription options on X. So the basic is basically allows you to edit posts, have longer posts, longer video uploads, prioritization of your replies, text format, and blah blah blah. Premium gets you all the basic features, reduced ads, access, larger reply prioritization. You have to do ID verification, blah blah blah. Premium Plus though, this is a bit makes you laugh, right? So you get higher limits on Grok, no ads anywhere, but it later goes on to say occasional promoted content may appear. Is that not just an ad? I don't know. You're not getting a lot for your money, if I'm honest. No, you're not getting a lot for your money at all. Basically, every feature on X is behind a paywall of some sort.
It's just bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah.
You not think?
It is. It's so bonkers. The other day, I had enough. Finally, I deleted the app.
Well, I was just gonna raise that. So I haven't deleted my account, but I've deleted the app.
I haven't deleted the account. I have deleted the app for now. I just couldn't be doing with that anymore. I moved over to Blue Sky. Get myself off X.
It's toxic. It's absolutely toxic. And I mean, to give you an example of how toxic, yesterday there was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Was or day before there was a interview with a former ISS commander. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And the ISS commander replied to a tweet that was a post that had Fox News interview talking to Musk saying, "You're going to help rescue those 2 astronauts." Yes, they were left up there for political reasons. And the ISS commander tweeted back going, "What a lie." And coming from somebody who complains about the lack of honesty from the mainstream media. And Musk replied and called him retarded. Yeah. And then his next tweet was, "Right, we should probably start to deal with the space station now. It's served its purpose. There's little any value. Let's go to Mars."
Oh, it's a kid throwing a tantrum again, isn't it?
It's like, 5:10 in the morning, the ISS commander calls Elon Musk out. 5 hours later, us more calls to deal with the ISS. I mean, it's just pathetic. Yes, the ISS will be deorbited. Yes, amazingly, SpaceX have won the contract. But it's just childish behavior like that. And do you know what? You're right. I don't want a part of this. It's toxic and it's depressing. And every time I look at the platform, like you, I just think, why? It's just it's making me, I feel terrible.
It makes me angry and frustrated, and I'm just like, no, I can't. Yeah, no, I just need to not see that. I don't need that in my life anymore.
Yeah. And when I see like stuff like Liz Truss, stood on stage at the Republican CPAC event with Musk and all those people going, "We want a Trump revolution in Britain. We need to flood the zone. We want Elon and his muskrats coming to look at the British deep state." Oh my God. I want to walk out and bang my head against the brick wall. And you know what? No. I'm done. Like you, I'm done.
Yeah. Enough of that. Talking to people that are done though. Humane. Do you remember Humane?
Well, I do vaguely remember Humane, yes. But I think when you say done, I think they've played us for a blinder. I don't know how much money that they put. I know. Well, I'll rephrase that. I know how much money they spent, but I know how much money they've made.
Not a lot. But so Humane were founded by a couple of ex Apple engineers, weren't they? And the idea was they were going to build this AI device. It was the Humane AI pin. It attached to your top. It didn't have a screen as such. It had a laser projector you could put in your hand. The idea being you interact with everything with voice via AI to get to do stuff and have answers. Well, after a year of selling the AI pin, they've sold the company to HP for $116 million, which is considerably less than the 250 odd million of investment they took from venture capitalists. So they won't be happy. But HP haven't bought the company as in with plans to continue on with the AI pin. No, they've bought it for Cosmos OS and over 300 patents along with
I was just going to
their
say,
technical stuff. They bought it for the IP, basically.
Of course they have.
Yeah, and so after the buyout completes, Humane's founders will lead a new division at HP called HP IQ. It's kind of focused on AI integrations across the HP products, as well as running an innovation lab aimed at creating kind of intelligent ecosystems for allegedly the future of work. But what's going to happen to its customers? Wow.
No.
You're done for. Yeah, those AI pins that you purchase will cease to function at 3 p.m. ET on February the 28th this year. So, what, a week away today? They'll lose connectivity to the Humane servers. So, users have been advised to download their stored content before the shutdown, and it'll be permanently deleted afterwards. Once the shutdown happens, only offline features will remain, but they didn't go on to say what those offline features were. But battery life may be the time.
I think it is basically battery life.
Yeah, so you've got a £700 paperweight that tells you how much battery it has left in it. So congratulations for supporting the company in its early days. You've now been shafted.
Well, I shouldn't laugh because let's be honest, we've all done the early access thing.
But it was a terrible product. The reviews panned it. No one ever gave it a good review that I know of.
No, I think the concept made sense, didn't it?
Did it? Could they not just build this in a software agent for your phone? Did
Possibly.
It need the hardware?
No, and especially that projection piece and all that.
No. No, I think it was the wrong form factor. Maybe if they put that money into building a really good app, a AI interface that could do all this kind of stuff, then I think they might have been better off. I don't know. I'm speculating here, but it was a very failed and flawed product.
Yeah, it's a shame. And you're right. The people in that will go to HP. I'm sure many of them will probably get their payouts and disappear.
I have read this morning, though, that not all of the staff will be moved over.
Well, I was just say, you'll get some money and off your trot. Which,
the core engineers on the software side got nice big between 30 and 50% pay rise and taken over. Everyone else kind of got, anyone on the hardware side got shown the door.
Yeah. Well, like you say, it was a good run, but I think the end was inevitable from the minute it was launched, really, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So then, that's probably a good place for us to finish up for today. We'll be back next week with episode 202. We're going to talk a little bit more about those quantum chips that Microsoft have launched and have a look at some of the roundup, I guess, of other things that are going on in the quantum world, a bit like we did with the AI. Because, I think there are two things that are heading towards the future, aren't we? We're kind of in a, AGI quantum supremacy. Which will get there first? That's the existential question. We'll be covering next week. No.
Ooh, bit deep.
Yeah, that's a bit deep. Anyway, you can still find us. We are still on X for the moment. I haven't taken us off there yet, but we're on Blue Sky, of course, and wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Please do tell your friends about us. Give us a like. It all helps. So with that, I've been Jay.
I've been Karl. Have a good day, all.